The morning sun rose over New Busan like any other day. The golden light spread across the green fields where humans had built their new home among the stars. Park Dae-ho stood on his porch, drinking coffee and watching the farmers start their work. The air smelled fresh and clean, nothing like the crowded cities back on Earth. Dae-ho had been the colony leader for 5 years now. Before coming to this distant world, he had fought in wars for Earth, but those days were behind him. Here on Kepler 442c, life was peaceful. 50,000 people called this place home. They grew food, raised families, and dreamed of a better future. His daughter Soo-jin walked out of the house carrying her research bag. She worked as a scientist, studying the strange plants and animals on their new world. Soo-jin was smart, maybe too smart for a quiet farming planet, but she seemed happy here. "Another day in the lab?" Dae-ho asked. "Yes, but something weird is happening," Soo-jin said. She looked worried. "My equipment is picking up strange energy, readings from space. Very strong ones." Dae-ho frowned. "Could be solar flares. This star is still young." "No, Dad. This is different. The readings are coming from outside our solar system, and they're getting stronger." Before Dae-ho could answer, his communication device buzzed. Kim Tae-sung's voice came through clearly. Tae-sung ran the colony's defense systems, what few they had. "Dae-ho, we need to talk. Something is wrong." "On my way," Dae-ho replied. The defense center sat in the middle of New Busan. It was a small building with basic radar and communication equipment. Nothing fancy, because they had never needed anything fancy. Who would attack a farming colony in the middle of nowhere? Tae-sung was waiting when Dae-ho arrived. His friend looked tired and stressed. Charts and data filled the screens around him. "The supply ships are late," Tae-sung said without greeting. 3 weeks late, and I can't reach Earth Command or any other human colonies." "Communication problems?" Dae-ho asked. "That's what I thought at first. But every channel is dead. Emergency frequencies, shipping lanes, even the news broadcasts. It's like someone cut all the wires at once." Dae-ho felt a cold fear in his stomach. "Equipment failure?" Tae-sung shook his head. "I've checked everything twice. Our systems work fine. The problem is out there, not in here." They stood in silence for a moment. Both men were old soldiers. They knew what silence could mean in wartime. But this was supposed to be peacetime. Humans had been exploring space for over 100 years. They had met other alien species, but most contact had been friendly. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, nothing violent. "Maybe we should prepare the emergency protocols," Tae-ho said slowly. "Already started," Tae-sung replied. "Quietly, so we don't scare people. But Dae-ho, if someone is jamming all human communications across multiple star systems, this is big. Bigger than anything we can handle." Dae-ho thought about his daughter's energy readings, about the missing supply ships, about the dead silence from Earth. All the pieces pointed to something terrible coming their way. "How long to get everyone into the shelters?" he asked. "If we start now and don't panic anyone, 6 hours minimum, but the shelters won't help against orbital bombardment." "Then we better hope we're wrong about this." They were not wrong. Lee Hyun-woo was fixing a water pump when the alarm started. He dropped his tools and ran toward the defense center. As the colony's best engineer, he knew Tae-sung would need him if something was going wrong with their systems. The streets filled with confused people. Children pointed at the sky and asked their parents what the noise meant. Most adults looked worried but not panicked. New Busan had never faced a real emergency before. Hyun-woo reached the defense center as Tae-sung came running out. "The emergency beacon!" Tae-sung shouted. "We need to get it working now." "What's happening?" Hyun-woo asked, but he was all ready. Moving toward the communications building. "Look up," Tae-sung said. Hyun-woo looked up and felt his blood turn to ice. Dark shapes were appearing in the blue sky. They were huge, bigger than any human ships he had ever seen. The shapes grew larger as they descended through the atmosphere. "Alien ships," Hyun-woo whispered. "Hostile alien ships," Tae-sung corrected. "They're not responding to our greetings, and they're powering weapons." Hyun-woo ran faster than he had ever run before. The emergency beacon was their only hope of calling for help. If he could get it working, maybe someone would know what happened here. Maybe someone would come to help. Inside the communications building, Choi Mi-young was frantically working at her station. She was young, barely 25, but she knew the equipment better than anyone. "Mi-young," Hyunwoo called. "The beacon!" "I'm trying," she yelled back. "Something is jamming our signals, but I think I can punch through if I boost the power." Her fingers flew over the controls. Warning lights flashed as she pushed the system beyond safe limits. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits, but she kept working. Outside, the alien ships reached the lower atmosphere. They were massive things, all angles and spikes, painted in dark colors that seemed to absorb light. Weapons ports opened along their hulls like hungry mouths. Daeho's voice echoed from loudspeakers throughout the colony. "All citizens report to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." People began running. Some parents carried children. Others helped elderly neighbors. The organized evacuation they had practiced turned into barely controlled chaos as the alien ships grew larger in the sky. Soo-jin was in her lab when the alarm started. She grabbed her most important research and ran for the shelter near the science building. But she stopped when she saw the ships above. They were beautiful in a terrible way, like predators made of metal and energy. One of the ships rotated slowly until its weapons pointed down at the colony. Soo-jin could see light building inside the weapon ports. Bright, angry light that promised destruction. "No," she whispered. "Please, no." Back in the communications building, Mi-young finally broke through the jamming. The emergency beacon activated, sending their location and a desperate cry for help into space. "Got it!" she shouted. "The message is transmitting." Hyunwoo was encoding additional data about the attacking ships when the world exploded around them. The first plasma blast hit, the government building 3 blocks away. The entire structure vanished in a ball of green fire. "Keep working," Hyunwoo yelled over the noise. "Record everything. Ship types, weapons, tactics." Mi-young's hands shook as she captured data about their attackers. Every second of recording might save other human colonies, if anyone survived to use the information. More plasma blasts struck the colony. The beautiful fields that had fed 50,000 people burned. Buildings that had taken years to construct disappeared in seconds. The peaceful farming community became a war zone in minutes. Daeho reached the main shelter as the bombardment intensified. Hundreds of people crowded into the underground space, designed to hold them during storms or other natural disasters. It had never been meant to protect against alien weapons. Tae-sung was there too, shouting orders to his small security team. They had hunting rifles and a few old military weapons, nothing that could hurt ships in space. "How long can the shelters hold?" Daeho asked. "Against this kind of firepower? Maybe an hour if we're lucky." The ceiling shook as another blast hit nearby. Dust fell from the concrete above. Children cried while their parents tried to stay brave. Soo-jin made it to a shelter just as the science building exploded behind her. All her work, all her research, gone in a flash of alien fire. She thought about the energy readings she had detected that morning. The aliens had been coming for days, maybe weeks. They had planned this attack carefully. But why? What did a farming colony have that aliens would want? What threat could peaceful farmers pose to anyone? The answer came with the next wave of ships. These were smaller, designed for landing. They settled on the burning remains of New Busan streets and began unloading soldiers. The aliens were tall and thin, with gray skin and black eyes. They wore armor that gleamed like oil and carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. But it was their behavior that chilled Soo-jin's blood. They were not taking prisoners. They were not demanding surrender. They moved through the ruins of the colony like exterminators cleaning out pests. Any human they found was killed quickly and efficiently. This was not a war. This was genocide. In the communications building, now badly damaged by the bombardment, Mi-young sent her final message. The beacon would keep transmitting automatically, but she wanted to add something personal. "This is New Busan Colony," she spoke into the recorder. "We are under attack by unknown alien forces. They are killing everyone. If anyone receives this message, remember us. Remember that we were here. And remember what they did to us." A plasma beam punched through the wall and silenced her forever. High above the burning colony, The alien commander looked down at his work with satisfaction. Another infestation eliminated, another planet cleaned of the human pest species. He had no idea that he had just declared war on the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The alien commander stood on the bridge of his massive warship, watching the human colony burn below. War Prime Thekmal was proud of his efficiency. His fleet had destroyed the main population centers in less than an hour. Soon, his ground forces would finish cleaning up the survivors. Thekmal belonged to the Vorthak Empire, a species that had conquered dozens of worlds. The Vorthaks were tall and thin, with gray skin that seemed to absorb light. Their black eyes showed no emotion as they watched civilizations die. They believed that weaker species existed only to serve the strong, or to be eliminated if they served no purpose. "Report," Thekmal commanded. "Orbital bombardment 90% complete," his weapons officer replied. "Ground forces have landed at 12 sites. Resistance is minimal." "Good. Make sure no humans escape. This species spreads like a disease. We cannot allow any survivors to warn other colonies." Thekmal had studied human settlements across this region of space. Weak, scattered, with almost no military presence. The perfect targets for Vorthak expansion. Once these human pests were eliminated, the Empire could claim these rich worlds for themselves. Down in the burning colony, Park Dae-ho tried to keep his people alive. The main shelter shook constantly as Vorthak weapons fired overhead. Dust and debris fell from the ceiling with each blast. "Status report," he called to Kim Tae-sung. "Communications are down. Emergency power is failing, and I'm reading Vorthak soldiers moving through the upper levels of the colony." Dae-ho closed his eyes for a moment. He had hoped the aliens might want prisoners, or at least some kind of negotiation. But their systematic destruction of everything human-built told a different story. "How many security personnel do we have?" 12 men with rifles, maybe 20 hunters with personal weapons, against an alien army with advanced technology. It was hopeless, but Dae-ho had not survived 3 wars by giving up easily. Split them into small groups, hit-and-run tactics, make the aliens pay for every building. Tae-sung nodded grimly. He understood they were not fighting to win. They were fighting to buy time for the emergency beacon to transmit, and to make sure the aliens remembered that humans did not die quietly. In another shelter, across the colony, Yoon Jaemin gathered the pilots around him. Jaemin flew cargo shuttles between the colony and the orbital stations. He knew every ship in their small fleet. 3 shuttles are still operational, he reported to the shelter commander. "If I can reach the landing pad, I might be able to evacuate some civilians." "The landing pad is in the middle of the bombardment zone," someone protested. "I know, but those shuttles are our only hope of getting people off this planet." Jaemin did not wait for permission. He slipped out of the shelter during a brief pause in the bombing. The streets of New Busan were unrecognizable. Buildings that had stood for years were now piles of burning rubble. The beautiful parks where children played were craters filled with green alien fire. He ran from cover to cover, avoiding the flying alien patrols. The landing pad was only half a kilometer away, but it felt like crossing an entire continent. Every shadow might hide a Vorthak soldier. Every sound might be his death approaching. Meanwhile, Dr. Han So-ra was performing miracles in the medical shelter. The small clinic had never been designed for mass casualties, but she and her staff were treating dozens of wounded civilians. Burns from plasma weapons, cuts from flying debris, broken bones from building collapses. "Doctor, we're running out of medical supplies," her nurse reported. "Use everything we have: bandages, antiseptic, pain medication. If we run out, improvise." So-ra had studied alien weapons during her medical training. Vorthak plasma beams caused unusual burn patterns that were difficult to treat. But she was determined to save every life she could. Even if the colony was doomed, these people deserved her best effort. A young girl was brought in with severe burns on her legs. So-ra recognized her as one of Soo-jin's research assistants. The girl was barely conscious, mumbling about energy readings and alien ships. "The readings," the girl whispered. Soo-jin was right. They were coming for days. So-ra realized that the aliens had been planning this attack for a long time. This was not a random raid or a territorial dispute. This was deliberate extermination. Above, Ground, Yoon Jae-min finally reached the landing pad. 2 of the 3 shuttles were damaged beyond repair, but the third looked operational. He ran across the open ground expecting alien fire to cut him down at any moment. The shuttle's engines powered up normally. Jaemin quickly checked the systems while plasma blasts lit up the sky around him. Everything looked good. He opened the cargo bay and set the ship to broadcast on emergency frequencies. Any survivors near landing pad 7, I have a shuttle ready for evacuation. Repeat, evacuation shuttle at landing pad 7. Within minutes, people began running toward his position. Families carrying children and elderly relatives, workers still covered in dust from collapsed buildings. Anyone who could reach the shuttle and fit inside. "Hurry!" Jaemin shouted. "I can't wait long!" He managed to load 37 people before Vorthak fighters spotted his ship. Plasma beams scorched the ground around the landing pad as he lifted off. The shuttle was overloaded and sluggish, but it flew. Jaemin pushed the engines to maximum power, climbing toward orbit. He had to reach the emergency beacon satellite and upload the passenger manifest. If his ship was destroyed, at least someone would know who had died here. Back in the colony, the situation was getting worse. Vorthak ground soldiers had breached several shelter entrances. Their advanced weapons made quick work of the improvised human defenses. Tae-sung led a desperate charge against a Vorthak squad that was advancing on the main shelter. His 12 security officers attacked with hunting rifles and determination. They managed to destroy 2 alien soldiers before superior firepower cut them down. Tae-sung died trying to reload his rifle, still fighting to protect the civilians behind him. His sacrifice bought the shelter 10 more minutes of life. In the medical shelter, Sora heard weapons fire getting closer. She was treating a man with a broken arm when Vorthak soldiers appeared in the entrance. The tall gray aliens pointed their weapons at the wounded humans. "We are medical personnel," Sora said calmly. "These people are injured. They pose no threat." The Vorthaks did not understand her words, but they understood her meaning. They showed no emotion as they opened fire on the patients and medical staff. Sora died while trying to shield a wounded child with her own body. The aliens moved through the shelter systematically, killing everyone they found. To them, humans were simply pests to be eliminated. Age, health, and profession did not matter. Only complete extermination would satisfy their mission. Park Soo-jin was hiding in a damaged research building when she saw the medical shelter burn. Her father was somewhere in the main shelter complex, probably already dead. Her friends and colleagues were scattered across the burning colony, most of them certainly killed. She thought about running, but there was nowhere to go. The aliens controlled the air and had soldiers on the ground. Instead, she activated her personal recorder and began documenting what she saw. "This is Dr. Park Soo-jin of New Busan Colony. The alien attackers are systematically executing all human survivors. This is not warfare. This is genocide. They are killing children, medical personnel, and wounded civilians without hesitation." She recorded the alien soldiers moving through, the ruins, their weapons, their tactics, their complete lack of mercy. If anyone ever found her recorder, they would know exactly what happened here. High above the planet, Yoon Jae-min's shuttle was detected by Vorthak fighters. Plasma beams punched through his rear cargo bay, but the shuttle kept flying. He had uploaded his passenger data to the beacon satellite. Now he just needed to get these people to safety. "Unknown alien vessels. This is a civilian evacuation ship," he broadcast. "We carry no weapons and pose no threat." The Vorthaks responded with more plasma fire. They did not care about civilians or evacuation ships. Their orders were simple: kill all humans. Jaemin's shuttle exploded 10,000 kilometers above New Busan. The 37 refugees aboard died instantly, but their names and faces were already recorded in the emergency beacon's memory banks. Back in the colony, Park Dae-ho made his final stand in the main shelter. The Vorthaks had broken through the outer defenses and were advancing through the corridors. He gathered the remaining civilians in the central chamber and prepared for the end. "If any of you survive this," he told them, "remember that we were not cowards. We were farmers and teachers and engineers who built something beautiful here. We did not deserve what happened to us." The shelter doors exploded inward. Vorthak soldiers poured through the breach, their weapons ready. They found 63 humans clustered together, protecting their children and elderly. Dayho stepped forward, still trying to negotiate even in the face of certain death. "We surrender. Take us prisoner if you want, but spare the children." The Vorthak commander looked at him with those emotionless black eyes. To the alien, Dayho was just another pest requesting mercy. The request was denied with plasma fire. Within minutes, the shelter was silent. The last organized group of New Busan colonists was dead. War Prime Thekmol received the final reports from his ground commanders. The human colony had been completely eliminated. No. Admiral Song Gi-tae was reviewing fleet reports when the emergency signal reached Luna Naval Command. It was 347 hours, ship time. Most of the command staff was asleep, but emergency protocols automatically woke the senior officers when priority. Distress calls arrived. Gi-tae had commanded Earth's space defenses for 8 years. He was a careful man who had risen through the ranks by being prepared for anything. But nothing had prepared him for the message from New Busan. The first transmission was just automated beacon data, colony designation, population count, and a simple distress code, standard procedure for colonies experiencing natural disasters or equipment failures. Gi-tae almost delegated it to his staff until he saw the secondary data. Hostile alien contact, population under attack, request immediate assistance. Gi-tae sat up straighter in his chair. Hostile alien contact was virtually unknown in human space. Most alien species that humanity had encountered were peaceful traders or isolationists who avoided contact entirely. Military conflict with aliens was theoretical, something discussed in war colleges but never experienced. Computer. Priority analysis of beacon transmission from New Busan colony. The analysis took several minutes. When it finished, Gi-tae felt his blood turn cold. The beacon contained detailed sensor readings of alien warships, weapon signatures, and tactical data. Most disturbing of all, it contained a final message from the colony's communications officer. Choi Mi-young's voice played through the speakers, clear and desperate. "This is New Busan colony. We are under attack by unknown alien forces. They are killing everyone. If anyone receives this message, remember us. Remember that we were here. And remember what they did to us." Gi-tae called an emergency staff meeting. Within an hour, every senior officer at Luna Command was gathered in the briefing room. General Bai Jin-ah arrived by emergency transport from Earth Defense Headquarters. Commander Lim Do-hyun and Dr. Kang Ye-jin joined the meeting by secure. "Video link from the Deep Space Monitoring Station. Show them everything," Gi-tae ordered his intelligence officer. The briefing was devastating. The alien ships were massive, far larger than anything in the human fleet. Their weapons were advanced plasma technology that could destroy entire buildings with single shots. Most importantly, their behavior indicated this was not a territorial dispute or first contact misunderstanding. "They systematically destroyed every human structure," Commander Lim reported. "No attempt at communication. No demands for surrender. This was planned extermination." General Bai Jin-ah studied the tactical data carefully. She was a veteran of the Proxima Wars and understood military strategy. "These weapon signatures," she said. "Do we have any database matches?" Dr. Kang Ye-jin accessed the Xenotechnology archives. "Negative. These are completely unknown design patterns. But based on the energy outputs, these aliens have technology, at least 50 years ahead of our current capabilities." "How many colonies are in that sector?" Gi-tae asked. 17 human settlements within a 50-light-year radius of New Busan, came the reply. Population ranging from 5,000 to 800,000 people. The room fell silent as everyone realized the implications. If the aliens were systematically attacking human colonies, millions of lives were at risk. "I'm declaring a fleet." "Alert Condition 1, Gi-tae announced. "All ships return to base immediately. Cancel all non-essential operations. I want every available vessel ready for deployment within 72 hours. But even as he gave the orders, Gi-tae knew they might be too late. New Busan was 37 light-years from Earth. The message had taken over a month to reach them, through the relay network. The aliens could have attacked dozens of other colonies in that time. His fears were confirmed over the next week. Emergency beacons from 6 other colonies reached Earth Defense Command. Harmony Station, New Seoul, Prosperity Bay, Hope's Landing, Freeman's World, and Bright Star Colony All reported alien attacks. All went silent after their initial distress calls. President Oh Sung-ho convened an emergency session of the Global Assembly. Representatives from every Earth nation gathered to hear the terrible news. Oh was a politician, not a soldier, but he understood that humanity faced its first existential threat since the plague years of the early 21st century. My fellow citizens, Oh addressed the assembly, we have received confirmation that alien forces have attacked and destroyed 7 human colonies. Over 400,000 of our people are dead or missing. This is not a border dispute. This is genocide. The assembly erupted in shocked murmurs. Some representatives demanded immediate retaliation. Others called for diplomatic contact with the aliens. A few suggested evacuating all frontier colonies until the threat could be assessed. General Bei Jinna presented the military analysis. Based on the evidence from New Busan and the other attacked colonies, we are facing an enemy that views humanity as an inferior species to be eliminated. Their technology is superior to ours in several key areas. Their fleet strength is unknown, but appears to be substantial. What are our options? President Oh asked. We can attempt to establish communication and negotiate some kind of peace agreement, Bei replied. But based on their behavior so far, I do not believe they are interested in diplomacy. And the military option? We mobilize every ship, every weapon, every resource we have. We find these aliens and we hit them so hard that they never again view humanity as easy prey. President Oh looked around the assembly hall. Every face was grim. These were people who had grown up in an era of peace and prosperity. They had never imagined that humanity might face extinction among the stars. I'm authorizing the largest military mobilization in human history, Oh announced. Every shipyard, every factory, every research facility will be devoted to preparing for war. We will show these aliens that genocide against humanity comes with consequences they cannot imagine. The mobilization began immediately. Admiral Song Gitai was given supreme command of all human military forces. His new title was Fleet Admiral of the Combined Human Defense Force. His mission was simple: find the aliens who had attacked human colonies and destroy them completely. Commander Lim Do-hyun was promoted to Intelligence Director and tasked with learning everything possible about the enemy. His teams analyzed every second of sensor data from the attacked colonies, looking for weaknesses in alien technology and tactics. They call themselves the Vorthak Empire, Lim reported after weeks of analysis. Based on communication intercepts, they appear to be a militaristic species that has conquered multiple star systems. They view other species as either servants or obstacles to be eliminated. Dr. Kang Ye-jin led the technology research effort. Her scientists worked around the clock to understand Vorthak weapons and develop countermeasures. Their plasma technology is sophisticated, she explained, but it has limitations. If we can boost our shield generators and develop new armor, alloys, we can level the playing field. The shipyards of Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies began working triple shifts. New designs were rushed into production. The Vengeance-class battleships were 50% larger than any previous human warship. The Retribution-class dreadnoughts were mobile fortresses designed to match Vorthak firepower, but ships were only part of the preparation. Admiral Gite knew that this war would be decided by the people who fought it. Human crews would face aliens with superior technology and decades of military experience. They would need every advantage that courage, determination, and righteous anger could provide. I want volunteers only, Gitai announced to his staff. Every person who serves in this fleet must understand what we're fighting for. We're not just defending Earth or our colonies. We're fighting for the right of humanity to exist among the stars. The response was overwhelming. Young people who had never seen combat volunteered to serve on the new warships. Veterans came out of retirement to train the new crews. Entire families worked in the factories building weapons and ships. Most importantly, the colonies that had not yet been attacked began organizing their own defenses. If the Vorthaks came for them, they would find humans who were ready to fight. Nam Ji-ho was typical of the new volunteers. He had been a cargo ship captain before the attacks, running supplies between Earth and the frontier colonies. When he heard about New Busan, he immediately volunteered for military service. I knew people there, he told the recruiting officer. Good people who just wanted to build better lives for their families. They didn't deserve what happened to them. Nam was assigned to command the new battlecruiser Vengeful Dawn. His ship was equipped with the latest human technology, including experimental weapons designed specifically to fight Vorthax. More importantly, his crew was filled with people who had personal reasons to hate the aliens. Colonel Ryu Sang-min organized the ground forces that would be needed if the war came to planetary invasions. His Marines trained constantly, learning to fight aliens who were taller, stronger, and better equipped than humans. "We have two advantages," Sang-min told his troops. "First, we're fighting for our survival. That makes us dangerous. Second, these aliens have never faced determined resistance. They're used to easy victories against weak enemies. We're going to show them what happens when humans fight back." Lieutenant Seo Woo-jin was one of Sang-min's platoon. The shipyards around Earth worked without stopping. Day and night, workers built the largest fleet in human history. Every nation on Earth contributed resources. Every colony sent materials and volunteers. Humanity had united with a single purpose: to make sure the Vorthak Empire paid for their genocide. Admiral Song Gi-tai spent his days moving between construction sites and training facilities. The Retribution fleet was growing rapidly, but building ships was only part of the challenge. Each vessel needed a trained crew who could fight aliens with superior technology and decades of military experience. "Status report on the Soul's Hammer," Gi-tai requested from the shipyard director. "Weapon systems at 95% completion," came the reply. "The new plasma cannons are twice as powerful as anything we've built before. Armor plating is finished. We're installing the final shield generators now." Gi-tai nodded with satisfaction. The Soul's Hammer was humanity's first super dreadnought, designed specifically to match Vorthak firepower. It was over 2 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. More importantly, it was built with one purpose: to serve as the flagship for humanity's revenge. Captain Nam Ji-ho walked beside the Admiral as they toured the construction yards. Nam had been promoted rapidly after his volunteer service record impressed the recruitment boards. His new command, the battlecruiser Vengeful Dawn, was nearing completion in the next shipyard over. "How are your crew preparations coming?" Gi-tai asked. "Better than expected," Nam replied. "We have volunteers from every human world. Engineers who want to pay back the aliens for New Sol. Gunners whose families died at Bright Star Colony. Navigation officers who lost friends at Freeman's World. Every person on my ship has a personal reason to fight." This was exactly what Gi-tai wanted to hear. Technical superiority was important, but wars were won by people with the will to fight. The Vorthax had given humanity that will by murdering innocent civilians. "What about the experimental weapons?" Gi-tai asked. "The pulse torpedoes are incredible," Nam said with enthusiasm. "Dr. Kang's team designed them to overload Vorthak shield systems. If they work as advertised, we can punch through their defenses and hit their hull directly." Dr. Kang Ye-jin had become the most important scientist in human space. Her xenotechnology research teams worked in underground facilities, analyzing every piece of Vorthak equipment recovered from the destroyed colonies. What they learned was both encouraging and terrifying. "The Vorthax are technologically superior," Kang explained to the military leadership, "but their technology follows predictable patterns. They've been using the same basic designs for decades, maybe centuries. They haven't had to innovate because they've never faced serious resistance." General Bei Jin-ah studied the tactical assessments. "What does that mean for our chances?" "It means they're not expecting us to adapt and improve," Kang replied. "They destroyed our colonies using standard Vorthak military doctrine. They think they know exactly how humans will respond. But our new weapons and tactics will surprise them." The human approach to warfare was different from anything the Vorthax had encountered. Where the aliens relied on overwhelming firepower and standard tactics, humans emphasized adaptability and innovation. Every ship in the Retribution fleet carried experimental weapons designed for specific situations. Engineer Jang Hae-young oversaw production of the new armor systems. Human ships had always been lightly armored compared to alien designs, but the new reactive armor could absorb plasma hits and convert the energy into power for the ship's weapons. "We're not trying to build ships that can outgun the Vorthax," Jang explained to her production teams. "We're building ships that can survive long enough to deliver our revenge." The ground forces were preparing for a different kind of challenge. Colonel Ryu Sang-min's Marines would need to fight Vorthax on their home worlds, where the aliens would have every advantage of terrain and preparation. Intelligence reports indicate that Vorthax are physically superior to humans, Sang Min briefed his officers. Taller, stronger, faster reaction times. But they're not used to facing enemies who refuse to surrender. Lieutenant Seo Woo-jin listened to every briefing with intense focus. She had volunteered for the most dangerous assignments and was being trained for deep infiltration missions behind enemy lines. Her job would be to gather intelligence and cause maximum disruption to Vorthak military operations. What about their psychology? Woo-jin asked. How do they respond to unexpected tactics? That's our biggest advantage, Sang-min replied. The Vorthaks have conquered dozens of species, but every victory was achieved through overwhelming force. They've never faced an enemy that fought back effectively. When we start winning battles, their morale will collapse. Dr. Kwon Min-ho was developing the most important weapon in humanity's arsenal, the hyperspace interdiction system. If successful, it would prevent Vorthak ships from escaping human attacks. Every alien vessel would be forced to fight until it was destroyed or captured. The theory is sound, Kwon explained to Admiral Gite. We generate a massive gravitational field that disrupts hyperspace travel in a localized area. Any ship caught in the field has to fight its way out or surrender. How large an area can you cover? With our current power systems, we can interdict an entire star system. No Vorthak ship will escape to warn their empire about our capabilities. This was crucial to human strategy. The Retribution fleet needed to maintain the element of surprise as long as possible. Every Vorthak ship that escaped a battle would provide intelligence about human capabilities to the enemy command structure. Lieutenant Nam Yu-ri was one of the first pilots to train with the new X-47 Reaper fighters. These ships were designed specifically for combat against Vorthak vessels, with advanced engines and weapon systems that could match alien performance. The Reapers are fast and maneuverable, Yu-ri reported to her squadron commander. But more importantly, they're designed to work in coordinated groups. The Vorthaks use individual fighter tactics. We'll overwhelm them with teamwork. The pilot training program was intense. Human fighters would face aliens with decades of combat experience, flying ships with superior technology. But the human pilots had something the Vorthaks lacked. They were fighting for the survival of their species. Specialist Jung Eun-soo developed the psychological warfare protocols that would be used against Vorthak forces. Her background in communications and psychology made her an expert in breaking enemy morale. The Vorthaks view themselves as a superior species, Jung explained to the command staff. They've never experienced military defeat on a large scale. When we start broadcasting footage of destroyed Vorthak ships and captured Vorthak officers, it will shake their confidence. What about their command structure? General Bay asked. Highly centralized and hierarchical. If we can eliminate their senior commanders, the lower ranks will have difficulty adapting to changing battlefield conditions. This intelligence shaped human tactical planning. Rather than engaging Vorthak fleets in direct battles, human forces would target command ships and communication nodes. Confusion and fear would be weapons as important as plasma cannons and missiles. The training facilities buzzed with activity as crews learned to operate their new ships. Captain Nam Ji-ho worked with his bridge officers on combat simulations. Based on Vorthak tactics, they practiced responses to every scenario the intelligence teams could imagine. Remember, Nam told his crew, we're not just fighting for military victory. We're fighting to send a message that will echo across the galaxy. Every alien species needs to understand that genocide against humanity comes with consequences they cannot survive. His gunner, Petty Officer Lee Chang-woo, had lost his entire family when the Vorthaks destroyed Hope's Landing. We'll send that message, Captain, and we'll write it in Vorthak blood. The sentiment was shared throughout the fleet. These were not professional soldiers fighting for political objectives. These were humans seeking justice for mass murder. Their motivation was personal, and their determination was absolute. As the months passed, the Retribution fleet took shape. 2,000 warships of every class, from massive dreadnoughts to fast attack corvettes. 5 million personnel trained in the latest combat techniques and equipped with experimental weapons. Most importantly, an entire civilization united in purpose. President Oh Sung-ho visited the fleet assembly areas regularly, meeting with crews and thanking them for their service. But he also made sure they understood the magnitude of their mission. You carry with you the hopes and prayers of every human being, O told the assembled officers. You go to avenge our dead and protect our future. The galaxy will remember what you accomplish out there. Admiral Gite received regular updates on Vorthak activities from the deep space monitoring stations. The aliens appeared to be consolidating their control over the conquered human colonies and preparing for further expansion. They showed no signs of expecting retaliation from Earth. They think they've eliminated a minor threat, Intelligence Director Lim Do-hyun reported. All Vorthak communications indicate they view humans as an inferior species that has been successfully suppressed. Perfect, Gite replied. Let them keep thinking that until our weapons are pointed at their ships. The final preparations involved the human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Corvette system like a storm made of metal and fury. 2,000 ships appeared simultaneously, their weapons already charged and targeting systems locked onto the Vorthak installations. Below, Admiral Song Gite stood on the bridge of the Soul's Hammer and watched the alien world grow larger on his screens. Corvette Prime was a major Vorthak military base, home to over 10 million aliens and protected by their most advanced defenses. It was also the closest Vorthak world to human space, making it the perfect target for humanity's message of retribution. Fleet. Status report, Gite commanded. All ships report ready for combat, his communications officer replied. Hyperspace interdiction field is active. No enemy vessels can escape the system. Good. Open a channel to the Vorthak Command Center. The transmission went out on all frequencies, in multiple languages including the Vorthak military codes that human intelligence had decoded. When the alien commanders responded, they would hear Admiral Gite's voice delivering humanity's declaration of war. This is Admiral Song Gite of the Human Defense Force, he broadcast. You killed our people at New Busan, New Seoul, and 6 other colonies. You murdered 400,000 innocent civilians without warning or provocation. Now face the consequences of your actions. The response from the Vorthak planetary commander came within minutes. War Prime Kelthak's voice carried the arrogance typical of his species. Unknown vessels, you are trespassing in Vorthak space. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Your primitive ships are no match for the Imperial fleet. Gite smiled grimly. The Vorthaks still believed they were facing the same helpless humans they had slaughtered at the colonies. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The time for warnings is over, Gite replied. You showed no mercy to our civilians. We will show none to your military. The battle began immediately. The Vorthak orbital defense platforms opened, fire first, sending massive plasma beams toward the human fleet. But the humans were ready. Their new shield systems absorbed the energy and converted it into power for their own weapons. Captain Nam Ji-ho commanded the first wave of attackers from the bridge of his battlecruiser Vengeful Dawn. His ship led 50 other vessels in a direct assault on the Vorthak space stations defending the planet. All weapons, target the primary defense platform, Nam ordered. Show them what human engineering can accomplish. The Vengeful Dawn unleashed its full arsenal. Plasma cannons designed with Vorthak technology but improved by human innovation. Pulse torpedoes that could penetrate alien shields. Missile swarms that overwhelmed enemy point defenses. The Vorthak platform tried to return fire, but human tactics were unlike anything they had encountered. Instead of the straightforward attacks, they expected the human ships moved in complex patterns that confused Vorthak targeting systems. They concentrated their fire on specific weak points that Dr. Kang's research teams had identified. Most importantly, they fought with a coordination and determination that shocked the alien defenders. Enemy platform is breaking apart, Nam's weapons officer reported. Direct hit on their main reactor. The massive Vorthak station exploded in a ball of green fire, taking its crew of 3,000 aliens with it. It was the first Vorthak military installation ever destroyed by human weapons, and it would not be the last. Lieutenant Nam Yuri led her fighter squadron against the Vorthak ships trying to escape the system. Her X-47 Reapers were faster and more maneuverable than anything the aliens had faced before. Blue Squadron, form up for attack run, she commanded. Target their engines first. We want prisoners, not debris. The Vorthak fighters tried to respond with their standard tactics, but human teamwork overwhelmed them. Where alien pilots fought as individuals, the humans moved as a coordinated group. They covered each other's attacks, shared targeting data, and adapted their strategies in real time. "This is Blue Leader," Yuri reported to Fleet Command. "Enemy fighter resistance is collapsing. They've never faced pilots who work together like this." On the ground, Vorthak forces scrambled to defend their installations against the expected human landing. War Prime Kelthak activated all planetary defenses and called for reinforcements from neighboring systems. But the human hyperspace interdiction field prevented any escape or communication. "Status of enemy reinforcements?" Kelthak demanded from his command bunker. "No contact with the outer system," his communications officer replied. "Something is jamming our hyperspace transmitters." Impossible. Humans do not have that technology. But humans did have that technology thanks to Dr. Kwon Min-ho's breakthrough research. The interdiction field trapped every Vorthak ship in the system, forcing them to fight against overwhelming odds with no hope of escape or rescue. Colonel Ryu Sang-min led the first wave of ground forces from his command ship. His Marines were equipped with power armor designed specifically for fighting Vorthaks and weapons that could penetrate alien defenses. "All units, remember your training," Sang-min broadcast to his troops. "These aliens think they're superior to humans. Let's show them how wrong they are." Lieutenant Seo Woo-jin was among the first Marines to land on Corvette Prime. Her infiltration team had the mission of capturing the planetary command center and taking War Prime Kelthak alive for interrogation. "Move fast and stay together," she told her squad. "The Vorthaks are expecting us to fight like the other species they've conquered. We're going to show them what human determination looks like." The landing was opposed by Vorthak ground forces, but human tactics proved superior. Where the aliens relied on heavy weapons and straightforward assaults, the humans used speed, coordination, and innovative strategies. They adapted to battlefield conditions faster than their enemies could respond. Woo Jin's team reached the command bunker ahead of schedule. The Vorthak defenders were tall and strong, but they had never faced enemies who refused to retreat or surrender. Human Marines fought through wounds that would have stopped other species, driven by memories of the massacred. "Colonists. Breaching charges set," Woo Jin reported. "Preparing to capture the enemy commander." The explosion blew open the bunker's main entrance. Human Marines poured through the breach, their weapons ready. Inside, they found War Prime Kelthak and his staff trying to activate an emergency evacuation system. "You will not escape," Woo Jin told the Vorthak commander in his own language. "You will answer for what you did to our people." Kelthak looked at the human Marine with shock and fear. He had expected to face primitive warriors armed with crude weapons. Instead, he saw a soldier equipped with advanced technology and driven by righteous anger. "This is impossible," Kelthak said. "Humans are an inferior species. You cannot defeat the Vorthak Empire." "Watch us," Woo Jin replied, and activated her restraint field around the alien commander. In space, the battle was turning into a complete rout. Vorthak ships that had terrorized dozens of species found themselves outgunned and outmaneuvered by human vessels. The aliens' superior individual technology could not overcome human coordination and tactics. Admiral Gite watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. Every Vorthak ship was either destroyed or surrendering. The orbital defenses were silent. Ground resistance was collapsing as human Marines advanced through the planetary installations. "Fleet communications, broadcast on all Vorthak frequencies," Gite ordered. "Channel open, Admiral. This is Admiral Song Gite to all surviving. Vorthak forces in the Corvette system. You have witnessed the price of genocide against humanity. Surrender now and you will be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting, and you will share the fate of your dead comrades." The response was immediate. Vorthak commanders throughout the system began broadcasting surrender signals. They had never experienced military defeat on this scale, and had no idea how to respond to it. Captain Nam Ji-ho accepted the surrender of a Vorthak cruiser that had been trying to flee the system. The alien crew was shocked to find that humans were not interested in massacre or revenge against prisoners. "You showed mercy to our captured personnel?" the Vorthak captain asked through a translator. "Unlike your species, we do not murder helpless prisoners," Nam replied. "But do not mistake mercy for weakness. If you threaten human lives again, we will show you the same consideration you gave to our colonists." The message was exactly what Admiral Gite wanted to convey. Humanity was capable of devastating violence when necessary, but they were not. Genocidal monsters like the Vorthax. The aliens would be treated fairly as long as they accepted their defeat. Specialist Young Un-Soo was already implementing the psychological warfare protocols she had developed. Human combat footage was being broadcast to other Vorthak worlds, showing the complete destruction of the Korveth defenses and the capture of War Prime Kelthak. The impact on Vorthak morale will be severe, Young reported to Admiral Gite. They've never seen their forces defeated so completely. Other Vorthak commanders will question their ability to resist human attacks. This was crucial to human strategy. The Retribution fleet could not attack every Vorthak world simultaneously, but they could break the aliens' will to fight by demonstrating the futility of resistance. Dr. Kang Ye-jin's research teams were already examining captured Vorthak technology and prisoners. What they learned confirmed. 1 year after the first human ships appeared in Vorthak space, Admiral Song Gite stood in the ruins of the Vorthak capital city on Thekros Prime. Around him, the once mighty monuments to alien conquest lay broken and burning. The species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was now reduced to scattered survivors begging for mercy. The campaign had been swift and devastating. 18 Vorthak systems fell to human forces in less than 12 months. Each victory was more complete than the last as Vorthak morale collapsed and their military coordination broke down. What had begun as retribution for New Busan had become the complete destruction of an empire. Status report on the final Vorthak fleet, Gite requested from his communications officer. Admiral, the last enemy squadron has surrendered at the Morphex system. Captain Nam reports no resistance. The war is over. Gite nodded slowly. The Vorthak Empire was finished. Their military was destroyed, their leadership captured or dead, their worlds occupied by human forces. The species that had viewed humanity as insects worthy only of extermination now existed only at human sufferance. Captain Nam Ji-ho approached across the rubble-strewn plaza. His uniform was dusty, and his face showed the weariness of a year spent in constant combat. But his eyes held the satisfaction of a man who had completed an important mission. The prisoner transfers are complete, Nam reported. All surviving Vorthak military personnel are in custody. War Prime Thekmol was found hiding in the deep bunkers. He's requesting an audience with you. Thekmol, the architect of the New Busan massacre. The alien who had ordered the death of 50,000 human civilians because he viewed them as pests to be eliminated. Gite had been looking forward to this meeting. Bring him to the command center, Gite ordered. It's time he learned about consequences. The Vorthak commander was brought in under heavy guard. Thekmol had once been proud and arrogant, convinced of his species' superiority. Now he was a broken alien whose empire had been shattered by the humans he had tried to exterminate. You wanted to speak with me, Gite said in perfect Vorthak. Human linguists had mastered the alien language during the campaign. Yes, Thekmol replied, his voice hollow with defeat. I wish to discuss terms for my people's survival. Survival? Gite smiled coldly. The same consideration you gave to the children at New Busan? The same mercy you showed to the farmers at Bright Star Colony? Thekmol flinched. The Human Intelligence Services had made sure he knew exactly what his forces had done during the colonial massacres. Every murdered civilian, every burned building, every act of casual genocide had been documented and presented to him. Those were military operations, Thekmol said weakly. We believed humans were expanding into our territory. No, Gite replied firmly. Those were massacres of innocent people, and now you face the consequences of those actions. The Admiral activated a holographic display showing the current status of Vorthak space. Every world was marked with human occupation symbols. Every fleet was listed as destroyed or captured. The empire that had once spanned dozens of systems was now just a collection of refugee camps under human guard. Your empire is finished, Gite continued. Your military is destroyed. Your government is dissolved. The only question now is whether your species survives at all. Thekmol's fear was obvious. He had expected human revenge to mirror Vorthak methods, total extermination of the defeated enemy, but humans were proving to be more complex than the aliens had understood. What are your terms? Thekmol asked. Gitai handed him a datapad containing the Human Occupation Decree. Complete disarmament, relocation to designated reservation worlds, reparations for the destroyed colonies, and acceptance of human oversight of your remaining population. The terms were harsh, but not genocidal. Unlike the Vorthax, humans did not believe in exterminating entire species, but they were determined to ensure that Vorthak aggression could never threaten anyone again. You will live, Gitai explained, but as a reminder to the galaxy of what happens when you commit genocide against humanity. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the Vorthak defeat was spreading rapidly. Species that had suffered under alien oppression for generations were celebrating their liberation. Others that had ignored human diplomatic overtures were urgently requesting meetings with Earth representatives. Ambassador Park Yun-seo was busier than she had ever been in her diplomatic career. Her offices on Earth received daily requests for alliance treaties, trade agreements, and protection pacts. The victory over the Vorthax had established humanity as the dominant military power in known space. The Keltharian Republic wants to formalize their alliance with Earth, Yun-seo reported to President Oh Sung-ho. They're offering exclusive trading rights and military basing agreements. What about the Nexus Federation? Oh asked. They've agreed to our terms for the Galactic Defense Alliance. Mutual protection against aggressive species, shared intelligence networks, and standardized laws regarding genocide and war crimes. The Galactic Defense Alliance was humanity's vision for preventing future conflicts like the Vorthak massacres. Species that joined the alliance would be protected against aggression, but they would also be held accountable for their actions toward other members. How many species have signed so far? 47 confirmed members, with 12 more requesting admission. The alliance will control over 60% of known space within 6 months. President Oh nodded with satisfaction. The military victory over the Vorthax had been important, but the diplomatic revolution that followed was equally valuable. Humanity was building a new galactic order based on mutual protection and respect for civilian populations. Dr. Kang Ye-jin was leading the technological integration efforts. Captured Vorthak science was being combined with human innovation to create advances that would benefit all Alliance species. The medical applications alone will save millions of lives, Kang reported to the Global Assembly. Vorthak healing. Technology combined with human surgical techniques can cure diseases that have plagued civilizations for centuries. But the most important developments were in defense technology. Human engineers were designing new shield systems and weapons that could protect Alliance members against any future aggressive species. Colonel Ryu Sang-min was training the first integrated military units of the new alliance. Human tactics and leadership were combined with alien technology and specialized skills to create the most effective military force in galactic history. The Keltharians are excellent engineers, Sang-min reported to Admiral Gitai. Their ships are incredibly durable. Combined with human weapons and tactics, they'll be nearly unstoppable. What about the other species? The Nexus pilots have reflexes faster than humans, perfect for fighter combat. The Tarian Republic provides the best intelligence networks we've ever seen. Each species brings something valuable to the Alliance. Lieutenant Seo Woo-jin was part of the team establishing the new security protocols for Alliance space. Her experience fighting Vorthax made her an expert on preventing future genocidal campaigns. Early detection is crucial, she explained to Alliance intelligence officers. The Vorthax succeeded because they isolated their targets before attacking. Our new monitoring networks will make that impossible. The security system was designed to ensure that no species could ever again launch surprise attacks on civilian populations. Automated sensors throughout Alliance space would detect military buildups and provide early warning of potential threats. On the rebuilt world of New Kepler, formerly New Busan, Director Kim Subin oversaw the memorial to the colonists who had died in the Vorthak attack. The monument was a massive crystal structure that contained the names and images of all 50,000 victims. They died as innocent civilians, Subin said at the dedication ceremony, but their sacrifice awakened humanity to our true potential among the stars. Because of them, no species will ever again view us as easy prey. The memorial had become a pilgrimage site for humans throughout the galaxy. But it also drew visitors from allied species who wanted to understand the event that had reshaped galactic politics. President Oh Seung-ho delivered the final address of his administration to the Global Assembly. His presidency had overseen humanity's transformation from a minor spacefaring species to the dominant power in known space. When the Vorthax attacked our colonies, Oh said, they believed they were eliminating a pest infestation. Instead, they awakened the sleeping giant of human determination. We have shown the galaxy that genocide against any species will not be tolerated. The new galactic order was based on principles that would have seemed impossible before the HFY War. Peaceful species were protected by Alliance military forces. Aggressive species faced the overwhelming response that had destroyed the Vorthak Empire. Most importantly, civilian populations were considered off-limits in any military conflict. We sought peace among the stars. Oh continued. We were given war. But from that war, we have built something greater than we ever imagined. A galaxy where strength protects the weak, where justice answers aggression, and where the innocent are never again victims of genocide. Admiral Song Gi-tae, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Alliance Forces, established his headquarters on the former Vorthak capital world. The planet that had once been the center of